Now, our speaker, Dr. Tony Alessandra, helps companies build customers, relationships, and the bottom line.
Hey, I like it. He moves around the stage. Looks like he's talking to people. He's looking people in the eye. He's communicating quite well.
He was born in Hell's Kitchen, New York City, and raised himself from street fighter to university professor through sheer determination.
I think it's a lot of useful information.
Very interesting, captivating.
Excellent. Very good.
Tony earned his MBA from the University of Connecticut and his PhD in marketing from Georgia State University. He was inducted into the Speakers Hall of Fame in 1985 and is a member of the Speakers Roundtable, a group of 20 of the world's top professional speakers.
He's very interactive with the audience. He really makes you feel a part of his stories.
Dr. Alessandra is a widely published author with 14 books translated into 11 foreign languages, including Collaborative Selling, Communicating at Work, People Smart, and several others.
Gets a point across, throws in some humor. It's good.
I'm walking out with a lot of tools.
He is featured in over 50 audio and video training programs by well-known production houses like Nightingale Conant and Walt Disney. Tony Alessandra was recognized by Meetings and Conventions magazine as one of America's most electrifying speakers.
His delivery is just awesome, and it really makes worth a wonderful seminar.
Presenting his program, The Platinum Rule, let's give a warm welcome to Dr. Tony Alessandra. Welcome, Tony.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. How many of you in your dealings with other people have ever had a personality conflict? Can I see your hands? Personality conflict? All right, and I guess the rest of you don't deal with people, right? Come on, all of us, whether we admit it or not, we've all had the misfortune of not being able to connect with another person, not able to create that all-important meeting of the minds, which is so crucial in selling. How many of you sell? Can I see your hands? What's the very first thing you have to sell? Yourself. If you can't do that, it makes everything else that much more difficult. But if you can connect with somebody, if you can build rapport, if you can get them to like you and ultimately trust you, it makes the selling process that much easier and quicker. Agreed? I believe that you can create a lot more rapport with people and a lot less tension with them based on how well you practice the golden rule. Practice it appropriately, you're going to create a lot more rapport with people. Inappropriately, you're going to create some conflict. Now, before I go any further, let's make sure that we're all listening from the same perspective. What is the golden rule? Anybody? The golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. I believe in that. I practice it. I live it. I breathe it, especially when it comes to values, ethics, honesty, consideration. However, when it comes to interpersonal communication, the golden rule can, and frequently does, backfire. Now, why? Well, the way it is stated, if you practice the golden rule verbatim, you would basically treat other people the way you would like to be treated. Does that make sense? The problem is, do other people want to be treated the same way you do? Probably not. Probably not at all. I mean, I learned that firsthand when I moved from New York City to San Diego, California. When I moved to San Diego, I practiced the golden rule. I treated everybody in San Diego as if they were New Yorkers. Do you see a potential problem here? Came on too strong, too fast, too in your face, too aggressive, even when I asked people to do things that under any other circumstance they would do. It was reasonable, it was correct, they would do it. But it wasn't what I was asking that irritated people. It was how I was asking. It was my approach, it was my demeanor. And as a result, they dug in their heels and they decided not to budge. Not because of what I was asking, but how I was asking. Now, I believe that what we need to do is practice the true spirit, the true intent of the golden rule. And I call that the platinum rule. The platinum rule, very simply stated, is do unto others the way they want to be done unto. Or treat people the way they want to be treated. Does that make sense? Basically, what I'm asking is for you to talk to people in ways that make it easy for them to listen to you. If you manage or lead people, what we need to do is manage and lead people in a way that internally motivates them to want to follow. And I also believe that you need to sell people the way they're comfortable buying, not necessarily the way you're comfortable selling. This concept is called adaptability. Adaptability is your ability to change your approach, to change your strategy, depending on the situation of the person you're dealing with. That is adaptability. You look at the top salespeople across the board, and they have some level, typically a high level, of adaptability. Adaptability is being able to go into an account and adjusting your approach based on the information you pick up about that person. If you didn't adjust your approach, why do we need salespeople? I mean, we could just send out a video or let them see a presentation over an internet, because it would be the same to everybody. One of the beautiful aspects of face-to-face selling is that you can go in, you can size up a situation, you can determine needs, you can present solutions, different solutions, customer by customer by customer, based on differing needs, but more importantly, you can adjust your approach, the how you sell, based on the customer's style, their personality, their behavior. So, what I want to do is share with you a concept that I'm sure every single person in this room has been exposed to a minimum of one time, somewhere in your life. Maybe a different way. But how many of you, second, third time, through a book, a movie, an audio learning program, second or third time through, you heard or saw things that you totally missed first or second time through? Has that ever happened? Same thing's going to happen this evening. Whether you've been exposed to this concept once, twice, 5 times, it doesn't matter. I guarantee you're going to walk out of here tonight with some new insights, some new strategies, some new techniques that will help you connect with people quicker, deeper, and longer lasting. And by the way, it is not just for sales. I know everybody's in here hoping to pick up some tips and tools and techniques for selling. But when it comes to relationships, it's not just the buyer-seller relationship that I'd like you to focus on tonight. It goes way beyond that. If you work with other people and there's any form of collaboration or team selling, this will help you. How many of you are married? This will help you. In fact, many of you are going to say to yourself, I wish my spouse was here. He or she should be listening to this. How many of you have children? This will help. There's no question about it. How many of you have a manager that you report to? This will help. It is across the board. So don't just listen to it from one perspective. It will help you in all aspects, all relationships. Now, let me tell you this. People will not tell you how to sell them. That would make it too easy, wouldn't it? Hey, listen, before you give me your sales presentation, let me tell you the best way to approach me, and let me tell you what works best with me to close a sale. Wow, would I love that, right? Doesn't work that way, does it? They won't tell you how to sell them, but they will show you. And all I'm asking you to do, ladies and gentlemen, is open your eyes and ears and watch the signals that people send you. Now, when I say watch the signals, I'm not going to talk about listening per se, but I think it's crucial right here. When two people communicate face-to-face, they deliver the message on 3 channels consecutively, and then you hear the message on 3 channels consecutively. I'm using all 3 channels right now. Channels are very easy to remember because they all begin with V. There's the verbal channel, there's the vocal channel, there's the visual channel. Verbal, vocal, visual. Let me define them. The verbal channel. If we recorded this program and had it transcribed and gave you a typed transcript That would be the verbal part of my message. The words and the words alone. Now, if we recorded this and everybody got an audio tape, now you would get the verbal and the vocal. And the vocal is the inflection, the intonation, the pace, the pitch, the pauses, the volume, the speed that can actually enhance or change the meaning of the actual words. So that's the vocal. Now, if we were recording this on video, which actually we are, and you can actually see what's going on, you would get the verbal, the vocal, and the visual. Now, all communications experts say that when you add all three, verbal, vocal, and visual, you get 100% of the meaning of a message. And depending on the type of communication that's taking place, sometimes the verbal is more important than the other two, sometimes it's the vocal, and more often than you can imagine, it's the visual. All three equal 100% of a message. If you miss any of them, I guarantee you, you are missing some of the meaning of the message. If you only focus on the words, the verbal, you may get the content, but not necessarily the intent. Verbal, vocal, visual. Let's talk a little bit about visual. I'm looking at the audience. It looks like a rather young audience, but I want to take you back to 1960. 1960, famous debate, Nixon versus Kennedy. Has anybody heard about that debate? How many people know about that 1960 debate? That was a turning point in that election. That was a dramatic debate because something interesting happened at the debate and afterwards. Something was discovered, and it focused on visual. Here's what happened. After that debate, the pollsters went out and they asked the American public who won. Whole group of people said Nixon won the debate by a little. Now, the whole group of people said Kennedy won it by a lot. So they figured, hey, Republicans and Democrats, wrong. North and South, wrong. Conservative, liberal, wrong. It wasn't any of that. And many of you know what it was. The people who said Nixon won the debate listened to it on radio. The people who said Kennedy won watched it on TV. They watched it on TV. Now, between radio and television, was the verbal the same or different? Was the vocal the same or different? So the only difference was the visual. How could the visual have that much impact on somebody's impression of who won or lost? I'll tell you how. If you ever get the opportunity, go to a library, ask them if they can get you a copy of the 1960 debate, Nixon and Kennedy. The first thing I'm going to ask you to do is to totally turn off the volume. Just watch the picture. And it will be very apparent to you why people voted for Kennedy. There was such a stark difference in the message each person sent just by their body language. Dramatic. How about vocal? Do you think you can change things up, mix things up with vocal? I mean, I can say to somebody, hey, nice jacket. Right? You get one impression. I can use the exact same words and say, hey, nice jacket. Same exact words. Very different meaning, wasn't it? Take a single word like oh. In and of itself, it has no meaning. Oh only takes on a meaning as you say it. Now watch how you can change the meaning of that word simply through inflection. I'd like you to say the word oh to convey I understand. Oh. I don't understand. Oh. Now notice it's the same word, different inflection, exact opposite meanings. So if you don't say the right inflection, somebody can misinterpret the meaning.